Good afternoon, everyone. As Will mentioned, my name is Joe Mulcahy, TPA Retirement Plan Counselor with Capital Group, and I'm really responsible for the TPA relationships in the West Coast. It's definitely a pleasure to be here with all of you. Now, at American Funds, a couple things. We strive to be the record keeper of choice, but we also strive to be the investment of choice. But most important, we want to be the partner of choice. And one of the ways that we do that is by creating resources that TPAs and advisors can use to help them build their practice. And so, as Will mentioned, today I'm going to share with you one of our retirement plan practice building prospecting tools called The Art of the One Meeting Close. Now, when we talk about retirement plans, some of the questions that come up are, why should I sell retirement plans? It seems like it's really difficult, or I want to do retirement plans, but I don't know how to do it. So today, before we jump into the how, we're going to start with the why and really take a look at what happens when you and an advisor add two plans to your practice. And if you did that each year, what that's actually going to look like. And so let me scroll up here. Now, what we found is that retirement plans, they tend to be sticky assets. And so what I mean by that is even in volatile markets, plan participants, they tend to stay invested. And in fact, they'll continue to invest through automatic payroll deductions. What we also found is that the retirement plan business, it seems to attract additional assets. So I'm talking about 529s, IRAs, rollovers. Many of the advisors that we work with, they incorporate retirement plans into their retail business. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, I'm new to retirement plans or I only have a few plans, I don't feel like you need to be a retirement specialist to have success in this portion of the business. Now, up on the screen here, if I could draw your attention to the graph here, I'm going to just take a minute and kind of walk through this. This graph demonstrates that if you incorporate or if you win just two plans a year, it can actually have a huge impact in your overall book of business. And looking at this example, it really says like if you get one startup with an average of 30 participants and then one takeover, same thing, 30 participants, but has about 2.5 million in assets. If you did that every year, just two plans, at the end of 10 years, that's 20 plans, 60 plus million in assets under management or new assets, and access to over 600 plan clients. Now, think about what I mentioned earlier. Retirement plans tend to have ancillary business, 529s, IRAs, rollovers. Think about that ancillary business you would get with all those plans and all those participants. Now, as I mentioned, you don't need to be an expert in plans. You just need to do what you do best, which is manage those relationships that you have. When the time calls and you need some sort of expertise, do what most advisors do. Tap into your resources, your TPA partner, your record keeping partner. Now, hopefully these numbers got you excited about incorporating retirement plans into your practice. And so let's switch gears. Let's talk about the how. And this is with the art of the one meeting close. One thing we know about retirement plans, when it comes to prospecting, it can sound pretty daunting. There's a lot of work involved. And so what we did is we took the art of the one meeting close and we took the guesswork out of prospecting by giving you a step-by-step guide to find your next takeover, find your next prospect. So let's jump in. Whether you may or may not know this, but each plan needs to file a 5500 as a tax form. And as such, the DOL has actually compiled all of those 5500s and they put them in a database that, again, that's free for you to use. It's called efas.dol.gov. Again, efas.dol.gov. And if don't worry about writing it down, it's actually here in this slide. And I think we're going to be getting this out to all of you as well. What's nice is that through this website, you can actually filter all those 5500s. You can filter them by location, plan size, and you can even identify a specific industry that you're interested in. Most of those 5500s, they do actually have a plan contact listed. And so that actually brings me to step two. And so what I would suggest in step two is reach out to your local American Funds internal or external. Ask them to send you a sample benchmark report or sample cost comparison, and then take it and send it to the contact listed on that 5500. Now, if you're wondering what to say in the email or how to frame the conversation, we've actually included some samples here. If I can draw your attention to the green or maybe blue box here down at the bottom here, and I'll run through a couple of them. Mr. and Mr. Client, please see the attached sample. I'm happy to run a customized report. Or Mr. and Mr. Prospect, I may be able to help you negotiate your fees with your current provider, or you can say something to the fact that if you can provide plan level data, I can run a custom cost analysis. Now, let's double click on that last one for a second. Plan level data. Now, what we're referring to when we say that, we're really asking for the fee disclosure, which has a lot more detail on it than the actual 5,500. The challenge is with the fee disclosures are not public. You're not going to find them on the DOL website. You actually have to ask the business owner to go and get that fee disclosure. But once they do, the fee disclosure has everything you need to run an accurate, concise cost comparison, which obviously the American Funds team can certainly help you with that. The other challenge with the fee disclosure is that depending on the record keeper, the fees disclosure is going to be called something completely different. And so let me draw your attention to the gray box here. What you can see is that this is actually a cheat sheet for all the different names of the fee disclosure based on major record keeper. You can see how they're really different, and none of them really say fee disclosure. One's executive summary, statement of services, plan service review. I mean, it goes on, and sometimes these actually change as well. And so when you're working with a prospect, make sure you reference this cheat sheet when asking for the fee disclosure. I promise you it's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of back and forth. And so let's talk about step 3. At this point, you've looked up to 5,500, you've gotten the fee disclosure, we've run a cost comparison for you, and you've most likely gotten a lot of good information about your prospect. Now is the time to go ahead, schedule that Zoom, schedule that in-person meeting, but be sure to leverage the resources you have. Leverage your American Funds team, leverage your TPA. We would be more than happy to help you acquire that plan. Now, if you didn't pick up on a little bit of a theme here, it's all about leveraging your resources, leveraging your TPA partner, your record keeping partner. That way you can get back to doing what you do best, which is obviously managing relationships. And so let me pause here. Let me see if there are any questions.
Thanks for all that, Joe. At this point, I don't think I've received any questions come through yet at this time, and obviously we have a couple minutes here. If there's any closing remarks or anything you want to end with, I did not have any questions come through.
One of the things that I get, maybe you're not thinking of it, is like, well, what happens if they can't get their hands on the fee disclosure? And so that's a tough one. The fee disclosure really has everything you need to run a cost comparison. And when we're looking at a plan, we're looking at a couple things. We're looking at the fees, we're looking at the funds, and then we're also looking at the services. And so it is possible to run a comparison on individual components of a plan, but really the fee disclosure is going to give you a overall view of really what's going on with the plan. If you were to say, hey, I just want to look at the funds, that's something certainly we can do. We can do a target date analysis, or we can look at the investments that are in the fund, and we can compare them maybe to another menu. And so a comparison is still able to get done, but it may not be as concise as if you had the actual fee disclosure. And I guess one more thing that I didn't really kind of click into is, how do you leverage Definiti when prospecting? One of the things that we see when we're benchmarking a plan, the plan may not need to change record keepers. The plan maybe is unhappy, or maybe they're having challenges with some of the administration on the plan. And so a lot of the times the plan sponsor doesn't really know where the problems are with the plan. And that really comes out during the discovery. And so I would definitely leverage your Definiti partner if you've got a prospect on, help them evaluate the plan from a plan design perspective.